The Sound of Freedom is a new movie playing in theaters. It's been making a lot of rounds and it's been making a lot of headlines. And I wanted to explain why I haven't reviewed it and why I don't want to talk about it by talking about it. Now, I should state up front, this video is in no way made to criticize the person this movie's about, the movie itself, because I haven't seen the movie. This video is also me not wanting to, I'm also not criticizing the movement of helping people be more aware of child trafficking, right? I think that's a horrific thing. It shouldn't happen, right? Yada, yada, yada. But I am going to be critical of some of the things going on involved with this movie and why I didn't want to see it. So I first heard about this movie from my dad. You know, he leans more right, even though he wouldn't necessarily like to admit it sometimes. He leans more right. And he, you know, tends to have some pretty far right-leaning beliefs. But for me, so I kind of took what he was saying with a grain of salt. He said this movie's alright, it's kind of interesting. And then I started hearing some more buzz about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go give this movie a chance. Then I started reading up about this movie, kind of looking up about this movie, and I realized there's some BS around this movie that has largely very little to do with the actual quality of the movie or the movie itself. So at first when I heard about this movie, I'm like, oh, it's a movie made to make people aware of child trafficking. I'm like, okay, so they must be like donating to charity or something through the proceeds of tickets. You know, that's kind of what I thought. No, they don't do that with this movie. And I'm not saying they necessarily have to, but I do find that very bizarre. Because here's the thing, I think a lot of the people watching this movie are already aware of child trafficking and some of the horrific stuff that happens. And that's the thing, that's why they're interested in watching this movie, right? But the way they talk about this movie is if somehow this movie is inciting real change, and I'm not seeing that at all. Like, maybe one or two people are more aware of this issue, but I don't see real change being incited because of this movie, right? I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, but I don't see that happening. So that's one angle that bothers me about this movie, is like the way it's being discussed. Second, the main star of this movie is Jim Caviezel. Now, if you don't know him, he's an actor for a while. He was in Passion of the Christ. He played Jesus in that movie. He is a QAnon, and really the problem with that is this does not bode well for your message about, like, oh, let's protect the children, while your main star is spewing out nonsense, bullshit conspiracies about children. You know, that's something that's no, you know. So that turned me off from watching the movie immediately when I heard that, because, I mean, frankly, if you don't understand what QAnon is, I'm not going to sit here and explain it to you, but, I mean, that shit led to part of what happened to January 6th, so we don't support that in here. Sorry. I don't know. And then the other part of this movie that mainly ticked me off, this is the real reason. I come at movies from a place of love. This is my passion. You can see my collection behind me. Part of it anyways. You can see all my movie memorabilia behind me. There's an Iron Giant and a Robbie the Robot figure behind me, okay? I'm a big movie fan, nerd fan, whatever. The thing is, so when you get these people out there who like, let's take down the Hollywood system, that really bugs me. And that's exactly what you're seeing with the Sound of Freedom movie, where the right is coming at this movie going, wow, Disney didn't want you to see this movie, how horrible they are. No, this isn't what happened. The reality is this. The movie sold its distribution rights to Fox. Fox sat on the movie. We don't necessarily know why. Disney ended up buying Fox as a company, and then the distribution rights deal that Fox had for the movie, because distribution rights deals only last for a certain amount of time, it expired. So basically, it was kind of free from grabs after that. But yeah, they didn't put it out. And so the right is running with this and going, wow, Disney actually avoided, tried to make sure this movie didn't get seen. They tried to bury this movie. No. The thing is, it's very normal for studios to not care about movies that they don't make. Have you ever seen the movie Cats Don't Dance? It's a great movie. Warner Brothers bought into another company, didn't bother to market the movie. They just kind of threw it out because they figured, well, we didn't make it, we didn't spend the money on it, so it doesn't matter to us. The movie flopped, and it didn't do great. Some people really like that movie, and it has a cult following now. Not here to talk about the cult following of that movie. What I'm just saying here is, it's not uncommon for studios to get a hold of things and just decide, we don't really care about this, and then just not do anything with it. This is the normal studio process. And so, and I'm not here to praise that normal studio process. I think it's stupid. Like, if you should, take care of the things that you have the rights to. Otherwise, why do you get to have the rights to it? I think it sucks for artists, things like that. But this is normal. It is completely normal for this kind of stuff to happen in the industry. It's not because of what this movie was about. And to be fair, if I told you there was a movie that's all about child trafficking, would you think that movie's going to make money or do well? Probably not. Because in all honesty, why would you think a movie like that's going to do well? And the only reason this movie is doing well is because the right is out there promoting it. The way they're talking about this movie is making people intrigued. There's also a pay-it-forward ticket program, and this is the other point I want to get into, how the movie's being promoted through this ticket program. So basically, one of the things about this movie is you can go on this website, pay forward a ticket for someone who maybe doesn't want to watch the movie, right? And then they'll give that, and then someone else can redeem that ticket and go see the movie for free. That's how this movie's making part of its money. There's a little bit sketch stuff with how this process works. I'm not really sure how all of it works, right? And so for me, what I don't like about this program is I actually think it's a smart idea. It's kind of interesting, actually. My main problem with this program is that when they're reporting the numbers of this movie, they go, wow, it beat Indiana Jones. Well, yeah, because you have an incentive to go watch this movie over Indiana Jones because it's free to you, right? When I go watch movies at the theater I work at, do you know why I see all the movies for the most part, except for certain ones like this movie I'm talking about right now? It's because it's free. I don't really, I don't have to pay extra money to see some of these movies. It's free. And that's great, And so there's an extra incentive for me to go watch some of these movies that maybe I wouldn't normally watch, If I didn't have, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'm just saying, that's kind of my thought process sometimes. It's like, well, it's free. Let me go do it. And, that's cool. Right? And so that's the thing you guys need to think about with this stuff, is that extra incentive is a reason for some of this stuff. And so, yeah. So I know that in the articles, some of these articles actually are reporting on this pay ticket program, but but when they do, I notice that they don't really dive into how this program works, how it all that kind of stuff. They kind of just obfuscate the fact or briefly mention the ticket program. And that's a big problem, because the reason they want you to go, wow, this beat Indiana Jones, is because they want you to share their narrative. Oh, wow, Walt Disney fails again, right? Because all these people are attacking Indiana Jones, right? That's the problem here. That's the problem, is these people want to take down the Hollywood system. And this video also ties into my video I made today about the Hollywood writer's strike. These people, the right, you need to understand, wants to destroy the Hollywood system. They are out there attacking movies, art, whatever. I mean, these are the ones that you're seeing a lot of posts from people who are morons going, oh, these are Hollywood writers and producers. Don't they make enough money already? Don't these actors make enough money, right? Meanwhile, the left is more understanding about it, and there's still some people on the left who are dumb about it, but you see more people on the left being more accepting of, like, labor unions going on strike, looking out for the little guy, where the right is not understanding this. And that's the problem you're seeing here, is this movie, I don't know if this movie's good or not, but because of the disinformation and leaving out parts of the reporting, I don't want to watch this movie. Its star is kind of a mess of a person who believes in conspiracy theories that are dangerous to this country and just to the world at large. Yeah, this movie, I think, maybe it does support a good cause or whatever, cool. But just like there are lots of movies that I watch that support good causes, you're not obligated to watch them either. So I'm not here to say don't go watch the movie if you want to. I'm not here to say boycott the movie. I'm saying just, this is why I won't watch the movie. This is what bothers me about the movie. One thing I also want to say before I end this video off, one of the things that's really bugging me too about this movie that it's going around this movie is basically if you refuse to watch this movie, or you don't talk, or you talk negatively or criticize anything about the movie, you're called a groomer. Or you're made out to be like, why would you be against this? And it's just so dumb, because these are the same Republicans who wake up all the time and they go, man, it's so messed up that we're all called Nazis all the time. And it's like, yeah, you may have a point about that, but when you're literally doing the same shit to other people because they're not wanting to watch this movie that, by the way, they're hyping up as way more factual than it actually is too. Like, you think the way this is being talked about is like, oh, it must really show you the horrific realities of child trafficking and stuff. Like, there might be like a lot of truth to this movie, because you would think a movie like that they'd handle with a lot more care. But the dude kills somebody, like in Taken, from what I understand. This is what someone told me to watch the movie. So, yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is really bizarre. I think this is an interesting movie, and I'm not really against the movie so much as the misreporting, the way people are talking about this movie and the star of the film. I think these are all problems that should have been addressed. I feel like if maybe Angel Studios came out and said, hey, we don't support Jim Caviezel, then maybe I'll check out the movie, right? That would definitely help, but also stop the bullshit with the disreporting about the Hollywood system. The Hollywood system has its problems, but them not wanting you to see this movie is not one of them, because it's bullshit. They didn't try to bury this movie. They didn't try to do any of that shit. If you want to watch this movie, it's out there. Trust me, the Hollywood system could have done a lot more to bury this movie if they really wanted to, but they didn't, because they don't give a shit. It really doesn't matter to them. This film does not really matter to Hollywood, because at the end of the day, it's not taking any money away from there. Those people who watch Sound of Freedom, I'll tell you this, I was at a theater, and I can tell you right now, a lot of those people watching Sound of Freedom were saying things like, I haven't been to the movies in forever. These are not your usual movie goers who are going to go watch something like Indiana Jones. They just don't care. They care about this film because it's something that their political ideologies have brought to their attention. Whether that be a good thing or a negative thing, I don't really care. I don't really know. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this movie is being talked about in such a ridiculous manner, and I think it is worth addressing and calling out.